Welcome, everyone. We're so thrilled that you would be with us this evening. So glad for you to take a beautiful summer night like this and spend it together here as we talk about faith in place and especially about youth engagement. Welcome, welcome. We're glad that you're here and we'd love to have you put your names in the chat with where you're calling in from. This is our third monthly call since we have started together with Wisconsin and Indiana and Illinois Faith in Place. We think that this is a great tradition and a great way for us to keep in touch with one another. So during these monthly calls, we remind one another that our mission as Faith in Place is to empower people of diverse faiths and spiritualities to be leaders in advancing environmental and racial justice. And we do that by providing resources to educate, connect, and advocate for healthier communities. During our meeting, we are all coming from many different places, and so we observe these norms together, mutual respect. We are a multi-faith community. We listen to one another in an attempt to understand. It's a norm to take space and make space, to step forward when you have something to say and step back when it's time for others. When we're not speaking, we keep ourselves on mute. And if you have any trouble hearing or with your Zoom link or whatever, Faith in Place has technical help for you. So ask in the chat and we'll try to bring you back into the conversation. I'd like to introduce now Isioma Odom, our Senior Coordinator for Outreach in the Chicago area, to do our land acknowledgement. Isioma.
Thank you, Cindy. So I would like to take a moment to honor all of the bodies that have been forgotten, dismembered, erased, and harmed by settler colonialism, enslavement, colonization, genocide, and imperialization around the world, but especially here in America, in Illinois, against our Indigenous brothers and sisters. I would like to recall and express that we are all living, breathing, thriving, loving, struggling, and residing on land that was claimed, divided, capitalized, and unceded against Indigenous First Nations people of the Miami, Ojibwe, Fox, Sauk, Potawatomi, and Kickapoo. Let us be aware of our ongoing participation in the harm against the 65,000 Indigenous people that still reside in the Chicagoland area today.
Thank you, Isioma. Our invocation will be offered by our Indiana Outreach Coordinator, Jaleesa Malden.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to see all of your faces. My name is Jaleesa Malden, and I am the Indiana Outreach Coordinator. It is my pleasure to be here today to present you all with an invocation to begin our meeting. This is a special part of our meeting where we set our intention and our minds on the work that each of us have been called to fulfill in our lives. This calling is something that comes not only from a natural place, but also a spiritual one as well. And I would like to acknowledge that at this time, I want to welcome individuals of all faiths and all faith practices to join us today in our mission to create healthy, just, and sustainable communities for all. You all are welcome here and you are accepted here. So let us now join in our invocation, with a prayer. Dear God, we thank you for this gathering, and we thank you for every heart and mind joined with us today. We thank you for your direction and your foresight over the work that we are called to complete, and I believe that you will complete every good work in us. God, today, as we continue this meeting, we ask that you lead it in the way that it should go, give strength to all that are weak, and give joy to the burdened. Today, we focus our mind on the youth of our communities, and we pray that we receive insight on how to lead our youth to become the leaders of tomorrow. I pray that all we learn today will be implemented according to your will, and I pray that you lead our steps in this meeting. Amen. And I just want to thank you all for joining me in our invocation, and we will move on to the next phase of our meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Jaleesa. Elena Candler, our Deputy Director, will bring us a Faith in Place report.
Hey everyone, good evening. Thank you, Jaleesa. I am excited to be here and it's good to see everyone. I am Elena. I am calling in from Chicago and I'm Faith in Place's Deputy Director. So I will be providing a couple highlights of what's going on with Faith in Place, big picture. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me. So the first is I wanted to announce that last week we celebrated the end of, we had staff join us from Hoosier IPL and Wisconsin IPL, and they were a part of our staff team for 6 months. And then at the end of the 6 months, Angie has decided to continue on our team, and the other staff members decided to pursue other interests going forward. And we had a very celebratory honoring of all the work that they have done and are excited to continue working with Angie. So our thanks go out to the whole team who spent the past 6 months working with the original Faith in Place team to learn all about the work in Wisconsin and Indiana that they were doing, and we're very grateful. And the other exciting announcement is next month in September, we won't be having our monthly call because we're going to be having the Green Team Summit, which is our big annual summit event. It's September 11th through the 14th. And you can find information about the agenda, the speakers, and register for free at the link that was provided in the chat. So greenteamsummit.org. And our keynote speaker for that summit is Dr. Catherine Hayhoe, who is, honestly, she's why I do this work. I went to seminary and then I studied environmental health, and she bridged the two worlds for me because she is a climate scientist that is a person of faith and communicates about that. And I think she's one of the most inspiring speakers that I've ever heard. So I'm super excited she's our keynote speaker. Definitely register and tune in on Sunday for the keynote, as well as there'll be sessions on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So you can check out the full agenda and register for free. And then there's also going to be watch parties. And on the Green Team Summit website, you can also see the locations of the watch parties and see if there's one near you that you would like to join if you want to be in person to watch the session together with other people and then be able to discuss it live. So that's the Green Team Summit. And then my final announcement is that we have a new job position that is open. It was just posted today. So we have a development coordinator position, and this is a remote position. The person could be located in any of the states that we work in, Illinois, Wisconsin, or Indiana. And we have an amazing development team that we are wanting to add another person to as we are a growing organization. So you can check out the job description and how to apply through the link in the chat. And then if you know anyone that might be a good fit for that type of role, please feel free to share the link and we would love to meet them. So those are all my announcements. Oh, and then I'm gonna do, Kira, do you wanna add the slide for the breakout rooms? Okay, so before we proceed, to help facilitate a quick transition to regional breakout rooms. What we're going to do is we're trying a new experiment tonight. We're going to rename ourselves with the number corresponding to the breakout room you want to go into, and then our Faith and Place comms team will be able to sort everyone for an easy transition into breakout rooms when we get to that point of the night. So you can see in the slide how to rename yourself. You'll just hover over your image icon, click the 3 little dots in the top right, and then you'll see the option from the drop-down menu to click rename. So if you can rename and then add the number corresponding to which location, which breakout room you want. So add the number 1 if you want to go into the Southern Illinois breakout room. Number 2 if you want to be in the Central Illinois breakout room. Number 3 if you want to be in the Chicago breakout room. Number 4 if you want to be in the Wisconsin breakout room. Number 5 for Northern Illinois or the Chicago Northwest suburbs. And number 6 for Indiana. So if everyone can take a moment to rename themselves, just add the number to your name, then our team will be able to sort on the back end. And that is all for me. So I will turn it over to carry on. I don't have the agenda up. I'm sorry, I can't see my screen. So whoever's next, feel free to step in.
Hello, everyone. This is Pastor Anque, and I'm on the agenda next, and I'm coming to you from the policy department. I'm the policy director for Faith in Place, and I have been allowed to share for a couple minutes on things that are going on about policy or advocacy, as we say. And so we stress and try to share the importance of advocacy in all areas. And advocacy really is just speaking up or elevating your voice or amplifying your voice on things or issues that concern you. And we know that one of the concerning issues that we have here at Faith in Place is climate justice, environmental justice, as well as racial justice. And so you'll see us amplifying our voice around those issues. And so we have a policy platform that we invite you to view on our website. That gives you an idea of all of the things that we actually cover. If you're part of Faith in Place, I'm sure one of your outreach coaches Green Team coaches have shared with you our website, and then it gives you an idea of the things that we are fighting for. Today, we are celebrating because this week we had a monumental success on a federal level. The Inflation Reduction Act was signed by our president, and we are excited about what has been put in that particular piece of legislation. And we know that the goal of that legislation is to spearhead or gear $369 billion towards fighting climate change, with many programs within that act to make sure that the consumer benefits. There will be clean energy tax credits in there. There will be a clean energy sustainable accelerator where 27 billion green investment funds will focus deployment on energy, with 40% of the investments targeted to disadvantaged communities. Clean transportation, something we're really excited about. Clean energy tax credits for new and used electric and fuel cell vehicles, coupled with investments in cleaner transit, buses and trucks, which will reduce climate pollution in our areas. Also, there's a environmental justice investment block grant provision in this act, where $3 billion in environmental climate justice block grants will be available to reduce pollution and improve public health. And then we also heard about the significant savings that will occur by reduction in cost for insulin, as well as out-of-pocket expenses for those on Medicare. So again, when we think about a piece of legislation like this, this was not something that came easy. It was advocacy that brought this about. Your petitions, your letters to your legislators has finally paid off. A couple of weeks ago, when we heard a deal was brokered between Schumer and Manchin, we understood that something could actually happen. And so that's what advocacy does. We're bipartisan, so we're not particularly touting one party over another. We tout policies that benefit people that we care most about. So hopefully you will pick up one of the platforms which says advocacy in the future and join us on one of the lobby days or advocacy days that's going to happen in Indiana, Wisconsin, or Illinois in the next legislative session. Or you will be a part of some of our petition drives to inform your legislators that you care about climate and you care about environmental justice and you care about racial justice. And so, again, you'll be hearing from our policy team. In Indiana, we have a policy coordinator, Christine Glacier, who in Indiana as a policy coordinator. In Wisconsin, we have Alexander Mackel. He's in Wisconsin. And then also in Illinois, we have Christina Croat, who's our senior policy coordinator in Illinois. And then I'm the policy director. And so thank you for the time tonight. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening. We got a lot of things planned for you, a lot of fun. And so again, thank you for being a part of Faith in Place. And again, enjoy yourself. And I'll turn it back over to Cindy.
Thank you, Pastor Anque. Hey, with everything that's been happening, policy and all the other things that happened, it's just, I've been reminded over and over of the words of the editors of the book, All We Can Save, that they said, you know, it is magnificent to be alive in a moment that matters so much. So I remind you of that as I remind myself every day when I get up and think, I wonder what's happening now. What's happening now is that I'm going to introduce our speaker for the evening. Cesar Almeida is our youth empowerment coordinator and has been working with Faith in Place. He just completed his third summer of the Summer Eco Ambassador Program, working with high school youth, and is entering our third year of a year-round program to help our youth become empowered to be environmental advocates at the highest level. I'm thrilled to work with him, and I know that he, before he came to Faith in Place, was a graduate from Northwestern University and a Fulbright Scholar in Ghana. So he brings a wealth of experience and a wonderful perspective that I am eager for you to hear about tonight. So Cesar, please. Can you tell us?
Thank you so much, Cindy. Thank you so much for the introduction. I appreciate you, and I'm so happy to be here. So I'm looking forward to your questions for today.
All right, we're gonna do this like an interview, and I want you to go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself, about your youth empowerment work, and why you do it.
Okay, absolutely. I think this is really important because I want all of our Green Team leaders in our community to know, what is my background in youth empowerment work, so that we can see that this can be somewhat relevant to your Green Teams, your houses of worship, and your community. So thank you for asking that great question. So my experience with youth empowerment work, one of my initial positions that I had gotten when I was a little bit younger, I'm still kind of young, but I was a youth coordinator at the Field Museum. And at the Field Museum, we were teaching youth how to design games in order to explore water ecosystems in the Amazon rainforest. And as you know, many youth love games. We have lots of iPhones, PlayStations, Xboxes. So it was really cool how relevant that curriculum was when exploring an environmental ecosystem. I've also worked as an instructor at PBS Nova Science Studios. We taught high school students from the Midwest on how to create documentaries that primarily focused on science communication. And as we know, environmental justice work is based and rooted in climate change science. So that was really awesome. We have a documentary published with the youth there. And it's really awesome to see that documentary come into fruition and have it be published by PBS. Also, I've worked with the Chicago Public School Systems, working with youth and environmental justice in partnership with Calumet is My Backyard. And now, most importantly, I'm here at Faith in Place for approximately 3 years, coordinating and managing the Eco Ambassador Program, which is an environmental justice education program for teenagers from 14 to 18 years old. So that's a little bit about the details, Cindy, but I do want to answer a more important question on, hey, why am I doing youth empowerment work? You know, why did I choose this path? Especially I came from Northwestern, I could have gone into consulting or, you know, any type of career field. And I just got to say that I would not be where I am personally today without coaches in my life. And I played lots of sports and participated in programs. And without these coaches, I would not have had the guidance or the accountability or the education to live my life that I'm living now, which is a life full of travel, full of knowledge, and full of fun and enjoyment as well. My life could have turned a lot different if I did not have people holding me accountable, especially growing up in the city. And so I really like to be a shoulder to lean on socio-emotionally for youth, but beyond that too, I really love to help teenagers strategize on how to make their future the future that they want it to be on a personal level and a social level. So this is why I do the work that I do.
Thank you. Thanks for that personal answer. Tell us, you've been working now with youth and environmental justice, the issues around environmental justice. Why do you think environmental justice is a topic that engages youth and gives them opportunities there?
Yeah, that's also a great question, because there's all types of youth programs, right? Like there's sports programs, there's different clubs you can join in school. There's youth empowerment programs and houses of worship. But I found that the environmental justice education field is a really unique space. First and foremost is because no matter what, all of our youth can find some type of point of connection with environmental justice. And that reason is because we all breathe air, right? We all drink water and we all eat food. And environmental justice about our basic needs as human beings. So that is one reason why, right? Just from the core of environmental justice as a subject. Another reason why is a lot of our youth are actually interested in solving climate issues. And it's really interesting is when you have a curriculum that helps youth explore environmental justice, it really localizes climate change. A lot of our youth, when they hear climate change, they think about Australia. The Great Barrier Reef, right? We think about the ocean, right? And we're in Chicago, we have a lake here, and the lake is experiencing a lot of similar things that the ocean is experiencing too, but a lot of our youth are not connected to the local environmental or climate consequences. And so once youth realized, wow, like climate change is like occurring right next to me, and it's actually affecting myself, my family. This is when youth really feel inspired from my experience. And so this is why I think that this is a good subject as well for youth empowerment programming, because there's a lot of room for growth for youth to learn about the local environmental justice issues and solutions. And at the end of the day, like throughout my programming, one of the most common questions that my youth ask me is, you know, why don't they teach us this in school? They're teaching us social studies, they're teaching us history, but like, why didn't I learn about this? You know, and I am actually very happy that our youth, I'm sad that our sometimes our education system does not teach this subject, but there's a growing desire for our youth to learn this stuff. And that means that there's a potential to also change our educational curriculum in our public schools, in our private schools, to get more education about our local histories in our local regions, cities, and towns. And when you do youth empowerment programming, especially around environmental justice, when you do it here at Faith in Place and with teenagers 14 to 18, it can be a really fun experience as well. And I just want to show everybody an example of what this programming can look like at Faith in Place, but also at your houses of worship, or yeah, your local community. So I'm going to share a quick little video on a site visit or a field trip that our youth engaged in Chicago when we went to Big Marsh, and this is how it looked.
What about this one here? What do I got here? Right? So, like,
but just walk slowly. There you go. Throw the first bumper down. Back. I have to grab one more of these. They got it.
All right, so thank you for watching that quick 1-minute video, but I think this really encapsulate like the fun that you can have, but the actual environmental work you can do while in the process. And in this video, you've seen our youth riding dirt bikes, but also at the same time participating in environmental stewardship work while learning about the local environmental justice history in the Calumet region of Chicago. So yes, Cindy, thank you for such a great question. I hope that sheds some light on that. Thank you.
That does look like a lot of fun. Hey, you've been doing this for 3 years now. Have there been some surprises for you? What are some of the surprising things that you've learned from the youth, or things that they've maybe taught you?
Yeah, cool. So working with youth has taught me a lot of things. I would say, first and foremost, when coming from the adult perspective, right? The elder perspective, we often think about youth as becoming, right? Becoming the future, becoming an artist, becoming an activist. But one of the, I think, most important things that I have learned is that our youth are not becoming, but they already are. And I think it's really important to notice that with our youth, because in our programming, we have environmental justice projects. And you would not believe the amazing projects that our youth have completed. And I'm going to give you one example. Tierra Bullock, an alumni from our program, created a children's storybook to educate children between 4 and 6 years old about food deserts and corner stores. And what that means is that Tierra, as a teenager, is not an aspiring journalist or is not an aspiring author. No, she is an author and she is a journalist right here, right now. And so that is like one of the greatest things that I've learned. There are also a few other things I'd be more than happy to mention, such as a lot of our youth already know what they want to learn about too. And they have some type of idea on how they want to learn it. The thing is that while they do know this, and while there should be a horizontal learning plane between educators and students, youth still also need coaching and still need the connections and support of adults, right? If some of our youth did not come into the program, they may not have received a $50,000 environmental justice fellowship, right? To continue environmental justice work in Chicago or in Illinois. They may not have received the resources to continue to pursue this path as a career. So it's really important to balance like the adult end of leveraging our resources and the youth end of really providing curriculum that they want to learn. And one last thing is I just want to go back to my first point. of the idea that youth already are, they're not becoming. In the academic year, we have two separate programs at Faith in Place for youth empowerment, a academic year program and a summer program. In the academic year program, our youth actually developed an online instructional course to teach youth across the United States about environmental justice. And so what this means is that they are now instructors of environmental justice. This course has not officially been released just yet, but I'd be more than happy to share the trailer of what this course looks like. And so I am going to share my screen one more time. So please give me one moment. And here is an example of youth being instructors.
For over a decade, Faith in Place has empowered youth across Illinois to learn about environmental injustice and community-based solutions in their struggle with our flagship Eco Ambassador program. Now you have the chance to learn how you can create change and work for justice in your community where you live and from the comfort of your own home. Take our Eco Ambassador Masterclass on Teachable for free today. This fully online class has content created by our team at Faith in Place in partnership with current Eco Ambassadors and community partners so that you can develop a language to identify environmental injustices and solutions in your community. Some topics you can learn include food deserts, air pollution, fast fashion, and more. Sign up today at ecoambassador.teachable.com to get started on your environmental leadership journey. See you in class.
So I think that video just reiterates the fact that our youth are instructors, although they're 14 to 18 years old. So thank you so much, Cindy, for that question.
Great, thanks for sharing that. It's very exciting, very exciting. Can you give us a little bit of advice here, folks? Many of us coming from house of worship backgrounds, and we want to engage young people in our houses of worship and in our own green teams. Have you got a little practical advice for us?
Yes, I would be more than happy to provide practical advice. And just to let everybody know on this call too, I work directly with Cindy. You know, Cindy will facilitate the Central Illinois Youth Empowerment Program. And I work directly with Cindy and a variety of other regional coordinators to try my best to provide practical information, curriculum, and advice on how to run their program in the region. And so I'm going to take a little bit from what I share with our regional coordinators to share with our green teams today. Okay, so first and foremost, when developing a youth program, in my opinion, and along with a variety of training with organizations in Illinois that are trying to unify environmental justice curriculum, such as Earth Force, the first and most important thing is to not get started right away with teaching our youth, right? Like just get into the classroom and start teaching our youth. You may be surprised that our youth comes with a set of knowledge and skills and talents that they already have. And so I think first things first is to create an inventory on our youth and use this inventory to assess our youth passions, their talents, and their knowledge, right? Like what are the things that our youth already coming into in our space? Because once you collect that information, moving forward with the curriculum, you can start making data-informed decisions, right? Decisions based on the data that you have collected from your youth, which will ultimately make your curriculum more relevant. Another important component, is, once again, we're not just going into our program talking about environmental justice history on the first day. No, we participate in community building activities so that our youth can feel a sense of social cohesion and identity with each other. Because I mean, I know a lot of us probably work with youth, but it's a lot easier to work with youth when they trust each other and when they're friends, right? And when they all get along and when they smile. And I think that's one of the most important things for our youth to really, experience joy and experience camaraderie and know that they can come back into this space to a team. And a lot of this is facilitated through team building activities. Another piece of advice that may not be tangible to everybody, but I still think it's really important, especially in the Faith in Place model, is that we pay our youth stipends in order to subsidize their learning, essentially, right? Because some youth may not be able to learn about environmental justice because they have to help pay for groceries, help pay for other expenses that forces them to work. And so paying them stipends to participate in programming is really helpful. And every educator I work with, I really try to encourage them to do that. Faith in Place, we are blessed to have an amazing development team to raise funds, raise grants so that we can do that. And I'm telling you, a lot of our youth, the reason why they joined the program in the first place is for a job opportunity. Then I would say two more points. Okay, Sydney, is that cool? All right, awesome. 2 more points of advice is I've been working with an organization called Equiticity, and Equiticity ritualizes micromobility rituals. Okay, yeah, that's a mouthful, right? But essentially what I learned from this social justice, environmental justice organization is that it's really important to ritualize our events, our programs and activities. What do I mean by ritualize? I mean having a constant flow in our calendar, a flow that our youth know, hey, I have programming every single week on Wednesday, or I have programming every single month on the first day of the month. So when we ritualize our programming, our youth feel are held more accountable to the programming, and going back to our social identity in the classroom, they really feel a part of something. Now, the last but not least is cultural relevancy in our curriculums. Now, what does that even mean? I come from the perspective of being a DJ, a music producer, a creative, and I really try to include things that our youth are currently engaged in, whether it's TikTok, different art forms, in order for them to learn about environmental justice in a culturally relevant curriculum, right? And I'm going to give an example of a fun way that we have expressed our knowledge, environmental justice knowledge, in a culturally relevant way to the youth in our program. So I'm going to share my screen one last time, and then we can wrap this up. I want y'all to listen to the lyrics.
The production of the coal, it is turning up the heat. Preservatives and GMOs is all we truly eat. The CO2 is melting all the ice, so the water level rising. Now we gotta pay the price. You may not know it now, but let me say it on the beat. The proof is in I put it and I wrote it on the sheet. We can make a difference by cleaning up the beach. We need to make a change so we won't have to flee.
Okay, I will not have us listen to the entire song, but going back to cultural relevancy. Cultural relevancy doesn't also only mean making hip hop music about environmental justice, right? It means, bringing in guest speakers that our youth can relate to. It means learning about topics in a culturally sensitive way. It means using the data that we collected from our inventories, right, on our youth passion and talents, and actually using that data to inform the ways that we teach our youth. So yeah, this was that's a lot of tips. If I could just break it down one more time, I said, assess our youth talents and passions, do community building activities, pay our youth, create cultural relevant curriculum, and ritualize our programming.
Thanks. Hey, Cesar, I've had a lot of fun asking you these questions, and we have a little bit of time now. I want to open it up and let participants maybe bring some questions to you too. So Katie's going to unmute people if you have a question and let you ask. You can also put a question in the chat if you'd like. Here's one from Sharon Monday. Is there a youth inventory already available?
That's a wonderful, wonderful question, Sharon. So for the Eco Ambassador program, we have an inventory that is essentially embedded in the application process. So this is not just a general inventory. This is an inventory that is specified for our programming. So there's no really such thing as like a general overall inventory, but I would be more than happy to share some of the questions that we ask our youth in order to assess their talents, passion, skills, and knowledge. So Sharon Monday, I'm going to 100% note your name. Please drop your email so I can send that over to you. Thank you.
Thanks. Are there other questions? Before we go to our breakout rooms,
I see Sheila Campbell has her hand up.
Great, thank you. Sheila, you can unmute and just ask Cesar.
Thank you so much. This is a great opportunity. Thank you for having this space for us to learn. I'm with Pilgrim Baptist Church out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. We have a PBC green team, and we work with our youth. Everything he said, I felt like I was on track. We gave the youth the incentive. We taught them about the environment, doing advocacy, going before city council. So my thing is, how do I find out more information about the online and some of those programs that folks can do from the comfort of their home? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sheila. And I think I've seen a few other individuals here asking about the program. So at the moment, we are completing the branding of our online course in collaboration with our communications team at Faith in Place. The program is on an instructional platform called Teachable. And so what we're going to do is we can follow up with everybody on the call on an official release date of the online instructional platform. And it's as simple as clicking a link, enrolling in the course, and getting access to online modules about different environmental justice topics. So that's what the process will be following the release, the official release of the course. And that release is going to happen this fall during our academic year program.
Thank you. Sheila, it sounds like you are doing some great work, and we want to get in our regional breakout rooms now and let you share with one another what you have been doing with youth engagement, and maybe some ideas that you've gotten from Cesar tonight that you'd be willing to try. Sounds great. We've got a few questions to get you started talking when you get there, but as Cesar said, it's important to have to ritualize our experience. So we did icebreakers and check-ins every day before we started our Eco Ambassador program. They began to expect this. And Cesar, do you want to give us one of those icebreakers or check-ins so that we can do that and ritualize our experience as we start our breakout rooms?
Yes, we could definitely start with the icebreaker. I'm wondering if I should do a movement icebreaker, So get everyone to stand up and get the closest plate. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, one simple, let's see, icebreaker or check-in that we can all do when we start is just let's share your name and can you tell us what was a youth program that you might have been involved with when you were a kid, right? And tell us what was your favorite, or tell us what is your favorite thing to do as a kid, right? As a teenager. And I think that'll be a quick question for all of us to answer before we get started. Thank
All
you.
right, great. So when you get in your breakout rooms, you'll want to answer that check-in question. And then we want you to share with one another how have you engaged your youth at your house of worship or with your green team? And what new thing would you like to try that, Cesar has maybe suggested to you or you thought of while he was talking? You can join your breakout rooms now. And after you are finished in your breakout room, then you are free to leave. We thank you again so much for being with us tonight and look forward to seeing you all at the Green Team Summit in September. Thank you for being with us, and I will see you in the breakout rooms.